Hello guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another film review. Tonight we're looking at a 4K release film. We're looking at the classic Richard Donner film Superman starring Christopher Reeve. So this is the box set of the 4K containing the first four original 1970s and 80s Superman films. Now, I saw this back in the day at the cinema when it was released with my family, with my sister, my mother, and we had an amazing time. So it was on my radar to pick these up on 4K. Just be good to have these amazing memories in my collection. So I thought, well, I'm going to pick it up now. It's got a 4K release. And so I'm going to go through the little bit of the release with you, as it's an important sort of film to me, to my sort of like film sort of like background of watching films and stuff like that, and being a sort of fan of films. This is like a really important film to me because it's one of the early films I fell in love with. You know, like in this film, the opening titles alone, I mean, when it comes up and it's just like so big and majestic, and it's just like full of like these wonderful colors of blues and whites, and then you got the amazing John Williams original soundtrack playing over the top of the infamous and famous Superman theme, and then it comes up, you know, saying Gene Hackman and all these amazing actors that are in this film. You've got Marlon Brando, Gene Hackman. You've got Glenn Ford, Susanna York, Christopher Reeve, and the list is just endless. It just goes on and on and on of famous people in this film. Ned Beatty is just absolutely wonderful, and it's just like wow, wow, and it's just like it was so epic in the cinema. In the cinema, it hit me right on the chest just when the music started and it just sort of built up. I had that sort of cold on the back of your neck, and it just sort of like, you know, it's just one of those sort of feelings that just sort of like, I'm in for something special here. So this is based on the DC Comics version of Superman, and it begins on Krypton, which is the planet which Superman is from, and we see Marlon Brando, who plays his father. I think his name is Judea. I can't remember the names very well. You know what I'm like. And it starts off at a court case where we got three sort of villains on Krypton that have been judged for their crimes, and they get sent off into they're all found guilty, and they get sent off into oblivion in this kind of very, very lame sort of special effect of this glass plate sort of like spinning towards the planet, and they all get trapped in it and they can't get out, and off it goes, and they're all being sort of sent off, and that's the beginning of the film. And then we sort of like see Superman's father talking to the rest of the council, and he's telling them that that Krypton's going to collide with this sun planet, which is getting closer and closer in 30 days, and Krypton's going to explode and blow up. But they don't believe him, and the council vote against him from leaving the planet. He's asking everyone, now let's just leave. We'll find a new planet. We'll get off here, and they don't want to know. So they all sort of vote against him. And as he's in the council, he doesn't want to break the rules, so him and his wife decide to stay and sort of face their fate. But he doesn't want this for his son. He's got a young baby boy who we see him place into this kind of capsule, which is like almost like a star shape with loads of different sort of ice spikes in there. And he's filling this up with these different sort of crystals with information and stuff about the galaxy and about the different galaxies and everything that is existence. And he's going to send him to the planet Earth. Now, his wife's not very happy about it. She doesn't want him to go there. She says he won't fit in. And his father goes, yeah, he will be. He won't be one of them. He's too powerful. He will be more powerful, more faster, and more stronger than any human being. And his power will be limitless on planet Earth. But he's saying the only way he's going to survive is by going there because of the atmosphere and things like that. And then the mother's worried he's going to be alone while he's there and sort of like not be able to. So no, he will never be alone. He won't be alone, sort of thing. Anyway, he then places on this sort of green crystal, which he places amongst all the other crystals. And then we start seeing the shake of their sort of ice city on this planet Krypton. And it starts to shake and bits are falling down and falling down. So he was right. It is going to sort of like be the end of this planet. So he quickly pops the lid on, if you like, and off goes our little capsule. And it goes through the pane glass window of the roof of their city and into space. And just as it does that, the planet sort of comes in contact with this sun, and it just sort of obliterates and explodes. And the entire city, all the residents of this, apart from the three villains on that sort of their glass prism, and our little baby, he's off on his journey to Earth. And so we sort of join him on the journey, and it's sort of like a very sort of psychedelic sort of part of the film where we see almost like disco lights going off inside this capsule, while outside we see all different sort of like universes and galaxies and stuff. And his father's talking to him, teaching him all the wise things about the existence and what to expect and all this sort of thing. And we sort of see him sort of growing slightly. He's still a child and still a baby when he actually gets to the part where he lands on the planet Earth. And we see that. We see a couple driving a truck. Glenn Ford, who plays Jonathan Kent, and his wife are driving his truck, and it just slightly just missed being hit by this meteorite, which is in fact our capsule, and it goes crashing into the ground. So the two elderly couple, they go over to investigate what this was, and of course it's our baby comes crawling out of the capsule, and it's Superman, as we not yet know him as, but he's now arrived on Earth. And so the father, Glenn Ford, Jonathan wants to take him to the authorities to see where he's come from. And she said, well, he's come from nowhere. We know this. He's just coming from that spaceship or whatever it was, she said. And he's trying to change the tire on the truck because of, like, they crashed when they saw it coming close to them. And he's struggling with it, and then it gives way, and the truck seems to fall to the floor, but it stops and then gets lifted up slightly, and it's our little baby. He's lifted the truck off the ground. I say he's a baby, but looks about 1.5 to maybe 2 years old at this stage. And he lifts it up the ground, and then both of them look at each other and look back at the capsule, and I think that's when they decide to keep hold of the little lad. I think we're forward to him probably about, I'd say about 15, 16 years later, and he's probably about 16, 17 at this point, and he's at high school. And we see him at high school, and he's already been picked on by the jocks and stuff like that, and he's very, very sort of shy and humble and doesn't want any trouble, because I think his father they know about his powers and about the way he is, but they've told him not to use them, otherwise it's going to single him out. So because he's quite humble and shy, everyone thinks he's a weakling, and then he's sort of like gets picked on. Like there's one part where he's clearing up all the equipment from the American football match, and one of the jocks picks on him, called Brad, of course, picks on him, and they all go off with the girl that he's quite interested in, and drive off and leave him with still picking up all the gear. So he kicks the football and it goes right into space and never comes back. And then we see the hilarious running alongside the train scene, which, I mean, at the time when I first sort of thought, oh my god, this is amazing, but when you watch it now, it just looks so fake and daft. But it's still got that charm of that period, which is really, really cool. And so he's racing this train, and he gets back to his house, and the car drives past with all the teams in it, and they see him and say, well, how did you get here? And he goes, well, I ran, sort of thing. And anyway, so they all drive off, thinking, yeah, whatever. And Jonathan Kent, his dad, then pulls me, you're showing off a bit there, son. And he sort of has a conversation with him, telling him not to show off or be anything, because, you know, he believes you've been brought to this earth for a reason. And, you know, we don't know what it is yet, but you're here for a reason. And it's not to play football or show off. And so he goes, okay. And then so the lad who's named Clark now, Clark Kent, he goes off to play with his pup, the dog, in the barn. And as this happens, his dad has a heart attack and drops down dead in the farm. And then we got the funeral scene, and he states to his adopted mother, if you like, that, you know, all these powers he's got, he couldn't do anything to save his dad. And so he's devastated by all this, and he decides to leave the farm and find his destination. We see him going to the barn, and he opens up this chest in the barn and withdraws the green crystal that he has from the original capsule, and he goes off north on the journey of discovery. And that's when he goes to, like, I think probably the North Pole area, and he's walked a long way, obviously, or he's gone a long journey, and he throws this green crystal into the waters of this ice cold part, and it sprouts up into the Spider-Man replica of the city. And he goes through there, and there's all these different crystals in there, and all these messages from his dad about all the things he can do and things he can't do and things, etc., etc. And then he discovers his costume. And then that's all I'm going to tell you about the synopsis, because then he goes on to become Clark Kent of the Daily Planet, and goes on and meets Lois, and the story progresses from there. I don't want to give you any spoilers on that, just in case you haven't seen it. But I'm sure you all have seen it. It's, you know, it's so old now, but I'm sure you've all seen it. You know, I think it got released, what was it, 1978? I'm sure it came out. So, you know, you must have seen it anyway, but if you haven't, that's the sort of like beginning prologue of the film. The film runs about 2 hours, 20 minutes. So it's quite a long film. So be prepared if you're going to watch it. It's an essential watch. It's an amazing film. It's an amazing film in film history. It's one of the greatest superhero films ever made. It's just absolutely fantastic. It's almost very, very true to the comic books. Obviously, over the years, when we've been getting reboots, people have been hoping for this sort of thing to sort of happen. I think, why? You've already got it. You've got it here. Why do you want it to re-happen again? You know, this tells us the story of that. But obviously, if technology has moved forward, it'd be great to see something that follows along the comic book story, and the new one's looking promising that it might. Now, let's talk about the 4K. Now, the 4K of this, there's got some really nice moments in it you're going to really enjoy from it. Especially when we get past the first half an hour or 40 minutes and we're on the planet Earth. And then we see the sort of vibrant colours of the yellows and the greens of the fields, of the red truck, and all this sort of thing. We get some vibrant colours showing up. And of course, Superman's suit. There's a lot to be gained from this edition, but there is some little bit of me sort of like igglety-pigglety bits, if you like. There is a little bit of blur to the picture. It's got that sort of dream-like sort of camera look to it, but which the original did anyway. It was that sort of era of films when they had this, they were either really sharp, like Alien, or they were dreamlike, like this, or Dressed to Kill. You know, they had this sort of dreamlike sort of camera, sort of photography, sort of effect on it. And that's still prevalent in this film, which can cause a little bit of blur. And in places, the film looks damn right drab. You know, you're just thinking, well, this looks like a sort of mediocre Blu-ray release in some points. And other points, it looks amazing. But you got to remember its age. You know, this is 1978 this is made. We're now 2024. So, you know, it's almost like a lifetime away. You know, we're talking, what, 45, 46 years ago this film was made or is released. So it's still done well to come this far with this print. And you know, I really enjoyed the 4K. I thought it's really, really cool. There is some grain to the film. In some points it's quite strong. Other points it's fairly visible. Like there is one, like the part when he's in his replicate city or where he's from, when you see him in his Superman suit for the first time, he's quite far back. It just looks like a blue and red blur, and it's just lots of grain going on. I'm thinking, ouch, you know. But then you look at other moments in the film and it will look, wow, that looks really cool, you know, really, really good. But it is not a perfect transfer. But it's a good transfer. I would class it as a good. I wouldn't class it as a brilliant or excellent. I'll class it as a good transfer. The film itself's amazing. The story is great. It's fantastic. Really well acted. A great film. Great costumes. I love the story. I love the characters. Christopher Reeve plays Clark Kent, the Superman, amazingly. Margaret is fantastic as Lois. She was from the what's his name? The director, Michael Reeves' film, Black Christmas, the early slasher film. She was from that, and she's wonderful. Ned Beatty's great. Gene Hackman's fantastic as Lex Luthor. Really, really cool film. Amazing story with great effects of its time. Now that's the thing. Now, like some of the effects are incredible, especially when Krypton explodes. It looks amazing. It looks really, really cool. Like I said, it's a mixed bag when it comes to the 4K transfer. So I'm going to score the film an essential watch and give it a 10 out of 10. The transfer, the 4K edition, I'm going to give it a great score and give it an 8 out of 10. So it kind of loses a couple of points just because I think it could have been a bit better, but it was still good. It's not a showcase film by all means, you know, to show over. You got films from the same sort of time like Jaws, which is a showcase to show off your 4K, to make you say, wow, this is what 4K can do. This doesn't do that, sadly, but it's still, you know, it's still good to have it on a 4K format. And it's still probably the best the film's going to look, unless they really spend a few years on it to make it look absolutely pristine. But you don't really want that. You know, you got to remember this is of its time. And it was, and you want it to sort of keep a little bit of the original look to it, because like, especially if you've seen it back in the day, if it looked all spanking new and you think, oh, this, I can't remember it looking like this, you know what I mean? So you want a bit of both really from this world, and it does try, but it just doesn't hit it. But it's still good. I really enjoyed it. Superman, 10 out of 10. The 4K, 8 out of 10. Any of you guys seen it? Let me know down below what you think of it. I'm not dissing it. I'm not dissing the film. Any Superman fans that maybe watch this, it's fantastic. It's an amazing film. I absolutely love it. Am I disappointed with the 4K transfer? Slightly. I wouldn't say I was really disappointed with it. I just said I'm slightly disappointed because I think, because there's so many films of this era, like Jaws, Alien, that around this sort of time period, that look absolutely incredible on 4K. So why doesn't this? And Warner generally do a really good transfer of their old films. But if this is the print they've got, I suppose there's only so much they can do. You know, this is not a narrative 4K. It's just a rest. It's like a restoration or an upscale, if you like. But it looks good still. It's still worth the look. Now, am I going to recommend you go out and buy it? I'm going to check out the other films first and review those before I recommend you to go out and buy this box set, which is quite pricey. I got it in the sale for about £60. It's normally about 80. So I'm just thinking, is it worth £80? Not on the look of that film, no. But we'll have to wait and see what the others look like. It could be that they're phenomenal. But the films on the whole, they're just fantastic. You know, just hold out until I've looked at the others, reviewed them, because if you haven't got them, it might be best picking up the Blu-ray box set. But hey, if you're a collector of 4K, you'll probably want the 4K editions anyway. But it's really, really cool. Thanks for watching, guys.